me to share. Okay, got it. Hold on. Let me just, okay, perfect. So I'm Maria Baez. Hi, everybody here. I am a mother of 3 adults, a grandma of 5. My oldest grandchild is 21 and my youngest is 3 years old. I think I've been a caregiver all my life, since before, because I've been always presented with challenging moments of something that has to do with health. Some starting from my father, going on to my husband, then going on to my son, who had a tragic injury. And then as a grandma, I've always been hands-on. And I think this all started with my grandmother. She was my rock. She was the person that inspired me to share love for service and hands-on service, because I remember her always telling me, mothers in general have healing hands. All mothers have healing hands. When you go to a mother that just needs company, just touching her in the heart and the shoulder and the back, with that alone, you are helping to heal her. So long story short, I was a yoga teacher for 20 years. I've been teaching yoga. Through yoga, I started meeting mamas that were pregnant. They loved the style of yoga that I was teaching, which was gentle, restorative. They started even motivating me, wow, you should become a doula, because you know so much about preparing pregnant mamas to birth with ease, that you should just complete the whole process. And then with my 2 daughters that were back-to-back pregnant, just 1 month apart, I decided that that was my next step. And I think that I'm always a student of life. I think that's always finding new avenues to help people, especially in the health and the holistic, aspect. I think is so nourishing for myself and for everybody. So I'm here at your service. We're going to be talking today about postpartum care and the need for a mama to feel respected, loved, supported, and cared for. So I'm happy to be here with you guys.
Thank you. And yes, I mean, when we think about the role of a doula, we are to mother the mother. And that doesn't mean just in the time of birth, but postpartum. And for anybody who is a mother, we know how it feels in the postpartum period, whether you had a great birth or not. In the postpartum period, it's hard. I haven't met a mom who's like, oh yeah, I had the baby and it was just the greatest thing and it was so wonderful. There will be milestones. There's things for you to hit. There's changes that you're not sure. Is this normal? Am I alone in this? Should I be concerned? So having a postpartum doula just really helps to ease that mindset. And so ladies, as postpartum doulas, and even if you're not a certified postpartum doula, but you're just a birth doula who's seeing a mom in the postpartum period, this is where we put our caregiver hat on, and you kind of got to step outside of, oh, baby's so cute, and inside of how can I be of service to you now? There's more to be done. And of course, refer if you need to refer for any reason. That being said, I know that some of you follow me. I know that some of you don't. And I realized I didn't really give a good introduction of myself. So I'm just going to backtrack and say hello again. I'm Chey, the Holistic Doula. I'm a doula here in New Jersey. I serve Bergen County, Essex County, if you guys are familiar with Jersey, most of the northern counties. And what drove me to want to become a doula and the holistic doula is my own experience in pregnancy, then my own experience postpartum. And as Maria's talking about always being a caregiver, I'm like, oh yeah, that reminds me of somebody. Me, I've always been somebody who is a more nurturing person than most. Sometimes it's tough love, but I'm a nurturing person in the sense that how can I service you? How can we make you feel better? I've cared for my great grandmother. I care for my grandmother. And it kind of just trickled down into once I became a mom, I realized, hey, I don't only have to care for the moms before me, but the moms now and the moms that are coming up after me. And that first step was being a doula and understanding the whole process. And that is what led me into birth work. So also a mother of 3. So you might hear a few of them jumping around in the background. That being said, I am going to jump into the first question, Maria. So there's some points to address. And one of the common things that I'm often asked when people are considering becoming a postpartum doula or unsure if that's what they want to be, what does a typical day as a postpartum doula look like for you? What does it entail?
Great question, Chey. Well, mothers, first-time moms or second-time or third-time moms, they need basics. They need to be cared for. They need to be nourished, nurtured. They need to be welcomed into this new world. And most of us, most of them and us as women, don't prepare for the postpartum period at all. All their mind is set, their baby brain mind is set for pregnancy, and then how am I going to birth this baby? They sometimes don't have a clue of what to expect after. And some of us, when we were younger, and you know them now, care more for what they need in the house, how many bassinets, how many stuff that you need in the house, that most of them are really not necessary. So we come in to fill in the gaps when the truth hits, when you get home, when these mamas get home and find out what is their real life after birth. When you come back home with a baby, tired, burnt out, maybe the birth was stressful, maybe it was long. There's a lot of things that happen after birth. So mamas usually are not prepared for that. And sometimes the families are not prepared to be the caregivers. They want to meet the baby, they want to see the baby, but everybody forgets about the mama. The mama needs to be, like I said, nurtured, nourished, cared for, almost like a bride, almost like a newborn bride, because Osho says, this poet and spiritual teacher said, when a baby is born, so is the mother born. She had never existed before. So here is a new mom coming into a house with a new baby that is going to need a whole bunch of things: care, feeding, pamper changing, with no time limits, because remember, the baby was in the womb being fed, cared, caressed, cradled in the warmth of the womb, and all of a sudden this baby is out in the world, and the mom is the safest place. The mom is the home, but the mom is tired, and so is the dad. So my day looks like this. First of all, I try to be part of the family way before they hire me. They hired me, and I start this routine of checkup and checking in to see how they need to get prepared for postpartum. Sometimes it's addressing what they will need at home, the basics, trying to get away from all the other stuff that you have. I try to hone in with them with what they need for basics. I try to find out what their parenting style might look like. How do they think they might want to care for their babies? Because there are a lot of issues. There are mummies that want to co-sleep. There are mommies that want to bed share, which is almost the same, but not. There are mommies that want to share the room, where the bassinet is placed beside the bed of the baby, and the mom wants to hold the baby next to her, but not on her bed. And there are mommies that want to have their babies in the nursery room. So when I am able to find out more of their parenting style, I am able to meet them where they are, because I'm not there to change anything. I'm there to assist, to accompany them, and to kind of help them find their way in this new life that they're being presented with, and then give them little options as we start, working with them. What works, what doesn't work, how we need to adjust. So the first thing is creating this real good communication with them, understand what their wishes are, meet them right where they are, create a plan. Sometimes I even go to the houses way before they give birth to see their setup. Some mommies have houses with 3 floors, and then, oh, we talk about, okay, which area of the house do you think will be your sanctuary with baby, where you're going to sit and breastfeed? Where do you see yourself? Do you want to breastfeed in the room? Do you want to breastfeed outside so that the husband can rest? So understanding how well they will work together, what they need, will help me make a better plan when we start working in the care. We don't, nothing is set in stone. We will adapt to things. Maybe she thinks that she's going to go to the nursery and breastfeed, and then when she's done it a couple of times, she notices that it's not working, that she's tired, and then we rearrange and we plan again, and we say, well, let's try to figure out some safe bed sharing postures for breastfeeding. So I go with the flow with them. I find them where they are. We create a plan. Sometimes that plan is just, breastfeed. It includes breastfeeding consultations or helping them counseling with breastfeeding. And then helping them to, step aside to rest and restore. Sometimes it's just that. Sometimes it's they want me to be there sitting by their side and them doing everything hands-on. Sometimes is, teaching the husband how to help the mother. So basically is I try to meet them where they are initially, and then we set the plan from there on. And that plan can change every day as I come to the house. And my first question, and maybe that's a question that I ask every time I go, how can I help you today? As soon as I get there is, how do you feel? And how can I best serve you? Because I think I am more, I lean toward helping the mother more than being there for the baby. Because the baby is always going to be in somebody's arms, but the mother is going to be the one needing the rest, needing the nourishment, and needing to understand how she will, baby care, daily baby care, how to deal with this, how to do the simplest things that we think are simple for them might be very challenging. So my focus is, how can I best serve the mama with her needs?
Thank you. And that is extremely important. And I love that you emphasize meeting them where they are, because one, as the holistic doula, I already have this label put on me that I am crunchy and I do things this way. And of course, women who want all natural labor and want to breastfeed, they're going to lean towards me just because of the title as it is. But there are instances where you get a mom and she's like, oh, I don't want to breastfeed, or I don't want to bed share, or I don't want this. And there, though it doesn't align with the decisions that you may make for yourself or what you're used to, you have to respect this is her decision. So it's super important to have a postpartum plan the same way that you have a birth plan. We all emphasize this birth plan. What do you want for your birth? And though it's important, please have your birth plan. It's important to have that. That birth plan is more likely to change than the postpartum plan. The postpartum plan is, this is the way that I want to operate as a mom. And as the doula, you need to find ways to help her achieve these goals. So if she's saying, I want my baby to be exclusively breastfed, we're going to find ways. Now, whether she had a C-section, whether her milk hasn't come in, whether she has, had a mastectomy and she has one, we're going to find a way. This is your goal, to breastfeed. That is what we're going to focus on. And we're going to pull in the resources. If it's the chest feeding tube because you need that extra oomph, we're going to put that there, and we're going to establish how to nurse with that. If it's you had a C-section, so you want to breastfeed, but holding baby in regular hold isn't good. Now we're going to do the football hold because that's better. So it's really about just what you said, Maria, meeting the mom where she is and understanding what her vision is and finding a way to help her accomplish that. Furthermore, making sure that her village understands that. We tend to lean towards, okay, this is what mom wants, and great, we're going to service the mom, we're going to service the mom, we're going to service the mom. But then we have to remember, after we leave at the end of the evening, who is she with? Do they understand her vision? Do they have the knowledge to help her achieve the goals that she's looking for? So super important to bring the village in. I do it even in prenatals. Who's going to be there for you during pregnancy? Who's going to be in your space? Sorry, picking up the baby. Who's going to be in your space afterwards? Because I want to make sure that they're educated and that their questions are answered and that they're equipped to help you with the experience that you want postpartum. So making sure that the partner, whoever they may be, or the client's mom, sometimes it's their mom, you know, whoever's going to be in her space understands the vision and they are properly educated to execute that vision with mom. Super important in the postpartum visit. So usually that's what, you know, we have the same visits. That's what it looks like for me. A lot of education. And while I'm there, of course, to hold the baby and take the baby away so you can rest, that rest happens after we've had the communication of this is what I want to achieve, because that is the difference between us and a nanny, right? We don't want to have that crossover where we are the nanny and the doula. And I have some doulas who do like child care and will watch the other children. So while mom is resting, while that is part of, you know, caring, that's not your role. Your role is to help them have a better understanding of their newborn life and so that they can operate with their newborn. So super important to make sure that their village is established. If they're trying to get you in a nanny role, letting them know, no, you need a nanny for that. I am here to help you with this, education first. And then yes, let me take the baby 2-3 hours if you're doing an overnight visit, you know, 6 hours, 8 hours while mom is sleeping. But you know, if you're just there to hold the baby, then you're not the postpartum doula. So make sure you put the doula hat on for that piece.
Yeah, that's part of it. When we have those consultations before, like we create a list. Who are the people that you're going to be trusting after you are home? That maybe somebody that will make a meal for you. Maybe, you know, they don't, because some of the young parents nowadays try to avoid family members to come into their house. They feel invaded. But I like to tell them, appreciate the hands of those grandparents that want to help you, and give them a responsibility. Make them feel acknowledged and validated. You can tell the grandma to make the soup. You can tell the mama to do the laundry for you. You can give every one of your family members something important to do that will take the load off of you, because like you said, we're there, we have a special time frame that we're there, and we're trying to support her well-being, because she should protect at least those first 40 days. Those first 40 days are the golden days for the mama, where they need to stress self-care. And that's why we're there. And our self-care includes massages, it includes nourishment, it includes education, it includes sometimes just sitting there and listening to her. Just sitting, just accompanying. The word accompanying for me has so much value. Sometimes all they need is somebody to sit there. You know, we all go, the new mamas go through this, the baby blues, the postpartum depression, or the other one. So for you to be there and kind of feel the energy of what's happening with these mamas is so important, because we are the doulas. We are this equanimity. We are this peace. We're this space that we can see so much from behind. So we're there for that too, you know, and to help and to meet them as partners in the middle, to help them make a plan that works for them. We don't want both of them burnt out, to create a plan. And when they hear it from an outside person, it's almost like children. They will say yes to everything. Like, yes, and this is what my doula is saying. This is what my doula, and they, you know, and you see the benefit of all that.
And so brings me to my second question. So now we are in the space, approaching the space. What are your definite things that you bring into the space postpartum?
Yes, definite. Most important, how is she feeling with the breastfeeding? How is she feeling? Does she feel accomplished? Does she feel comfortable? Is she enjoying breastfeeding? Is she feeling comfortable as she prepares to breastfeed? And is she comfortable with the results? Because sometimes they do it very nervous. So that's my first approach. How are you feeling with your baby? Do you feel the baby is being fed? Do you feel that you are able to void your breast when you're breastfeeding? Do you need help with that? So we address every issue every day. How is the breastfeeding? How's the baby's poops, pees? We review that list of things that they need to be really keen on, because they need that first after the first week of postpartum, they need to go to the doctor. They need to see if that baby has been fulfilling, the regulars, if the weight is going down, if the baby is latching well, if she sees any discomfort in the baby in the belly. We address how is her nourishment going on. If she talks to me about her baby being a little gassy, we review what is she eating, what should she be concerned, like paying attention to, maybe let go of the lactose, maybe stop eating this, stop it. So we talk about how was her day from the day that I left her. We make a review on that, and we review the practice of the lactation. If she has a C-section, how is her body feeding? If she has comfort in sitting down, we work with all the pillows or all the stuff that she has, the tools to help her feel more comfortable. If she is taking a shower and the baby's asleep at any point, I go to her room, I make up her room, I make her bed, I try to make her room nice and comfortable, to her space. I try to make sure that when we are sitting down to talk and I am listening, I bring a tea, a glass of water. I make sure that she remembers that when she's breastfeeding, she has to have water beside her. She has to be replenishing what she is putting out to make this, happen organically. So I'm kind of looking at little things and reminding her of the little things, not pushing, reminding, motivating her. Sometimes, depending on how I feel that she is, and she might be just talking to me, I'll take her feet and I'll ask her if she would like for a nice massage. I go massaging her feet. I see how she's dressed. I see how she's, so what I see, I try to encourage things that will help her down the road. Like if it's cold, mamas need to be very warm postpartum period. They need to have their feet warm, their hands warm, their chest warm. I encourage good dressing. I encourage warm meals, nice soups, bone broth, teas, because also the belly is left out in the open. The belly is cold. The belly needs warmth. So according to what I see in the household, I try to chime in and try to kind of I just don't, just see, and then we get into the groove. As much more days that I come in, I notice how they start learning what works and how comfortable she becomes. So yeah, so lactation is one thing. I try to encourage that self-care and rest. The baby's sleeping, I take that time to make up the room. If the kitchen is a little messed up, I try to tidy up her kitchen in her home. I notice if the baby's laundry bag is full, baby's asleep, she's asleep, I go there and I do her little laundry for the baby. And if husband is there, we sit down and we talk. How do you feel? What do you need? Do you have any questions? If mama's asleep, do you have any questions? Because they don't know anything, and how they learn to help mamas is by being educated themselves. And sometimes new parents, they're trying to do the things together and they both become burnt out together. So teaching them or talking about how to share responsibilities, giving each other a rest time, getting daddy involved with skincare, with bonding with baby, skin to skin, getting daddy involved with holding baby while he or she is asleep so mama can rest. Trying to talk about parenting attachment, or maybe they have thoughts about if I hold baby too much, I'm going to spoil baby. Talking to them a little bit about the need for connection, especially those first 40 days. That is all the baby needs to feel protected, to feel safe, and to feel not separate from what that baby met. So it's a lot of talking. It's a lot of knowing how I can serve them better. And then every day when I get in and I continue seeing their needs, addressing those needs as every day arises.
Okay, so thank you for that. So these are the things that you bring in to the space that aren't tangible. So are there any tangible, any physical things you bring? For example, I will always, when I go to see a mom for the first time, I bring 3 things. I bring a warming meal. So usually it's a soup, or sometimes I will do, it's not the healthiest thing, but I do vegetarian burritos and they have sweet potatoes and beans in them, because who doesn't like a burrito? Or enchiladas, because I bake a whole tray. So there's sweet potatoes, beans, and then there's some vegetables. I'll put, you know, whatever vegetables I can find, squash often. And these things are nourishing, they're warming, they're a comfort food, and I want mom to be comforted. So definitely I bring a warming meal. I usually bring a swaddle for the baby, the Ideal Swaddle. So mom is going to get 100 swaddles probably. And it might not be the one that they need. And so there is this gray one. I'm not sure if you guys know it. It kind of looks like a pillowcase and it just zips up, and baby's hands can be free in it. But it's not swaddled like this. It's just a square and baby is in it and swaddled, because sometimes that closeness that you're speaking about, that's the reason why the baby wants to be held, because they feel close, they feel snug. And if they're in this pillowcase swaddle that I really like, they are getting that same sensation, but they can be detached from mom. They can get that sensation while laying in the bassinet. So I bring that, a swaddle, and then I like to bring, of course, some teas, usually teas that will help with breastfeeding. And just are nourishing, because moms forget to eat in the postpartum period, or they don't have time to. So if you're not eating, I want to make sure that you're at least ingesting something that gives you some kind of nutritional value. So it'll be a nettle tea, or usually nettle is my go-to. A moringa tea. There's mother's milk tea, which is good as well. I don't always use it because some moms are already overproducing depending on their birth, how it went. Then they don't need anything else to give them more milk. But just something that's nourishing and warming, and that I can make for them while they're sitting there nursing. I also like to, when I go in their space, set up a little cart for them, whether they have a cart or not. On their little bookshelf, wherever they like to nurse, I put some snacks, and I fill up their jug of water and I put it there, because that's the place that they will be in. But those are my 3 go-tos. Do you have any 3 items or?
Yes. I definitely take, I usually do an apple. I love the fruits, the warm fruits. I make like an apple chutney for them. I work a lot with Ayurvedic cooking, so I know about the warmth and the spices. So that's something that you can, inquire. But if you don't know anything about Ayurveda, that's okay. Just, a meal that you make is good for them. So I take bone broth. I usually take that apple chutney. I also take oils, essential oils. I make these oils with carrier oils myself. I make a couple. I make one with jojoba oil, one with coconut oil, and and I have with different scents like lavender, jasmine, to bring calm and ease. So when I go there, I ask them to smell the oil. And usually the one that attracts them is the one that mommy is needing, because, our skin is the biggest organ in the body and it needs nourishment. And so that the oil, what the mama needs, what's lacking is what her scent is going to pick up. And usually I request, because some mamas don't like it, but I request if they would like a massage, and I usually will massage from their head all the way down. Yeah, I would only not massage if they have a C-section, but I still massage her feet, her shoulders and her head. I would not massage in her belly until she's, kind of, sometimes I make my own witch hazel pads, and I make for them. They give them some ice packs in the hospital, but I usually make them for them, and then I show them how to do it with a pad. So we get just a regular pad, and we put witch hazel, and you can put it in Ziploc bags, and you can put them one top of the other in the freezer, and that's so good to place in the vagina, because if they've had episiotomy, sometimes it's very healing. That coolness of the pad with the witch hazel is very good. Sometimes you can add a little bit of coconut oil or a little vitamin E, and just put it on, and I teach them how to do it. I usually, even if I take food to them, I like to cook something, because there's nothing more warming than a house that smells of a meal. It's almost like I always like to make a chicken soup for them. Either it's a broth or something, and that lights up their eyes, because the house gets full of that air, that scent, the aroma of the food. So I also take teas like you do. And one thing I like to teach, and I find it's very useful, the first couple of days, I teach the daddy and the mommy how to swaddle the babies. They usually don't know how to swaddle the babies. Sometimes they don't have, so I take my own swaddles. I take 3 swaddles, so that, because sometimes they gift them swaddles and they don't use, so we use the one with the zipper, we use the cloth one, the regular one. So I teach them how to swaddle in all the ways, so they can find the one that best suits them, because that's what the baby needs. Either it's on the chest or swaddled with the fabric. So yeah, it's very important and then that chutney, that apple chutney, is almost like, it has the pepper, and it has all these, nice herbs that are so galactalog. It helps the production of the milk. All this nice nurturing food is for that. We talk about their breast. I ask them to show me if they have any discomforts in their breast, and I teach them how to put the pump, the how to use the breast pump. So we do all that when we get there.
That's super important too. And that actually brings me into the next question, which are, what are the definite to-dos? So for new postpartum doulas, I think sometimes where the mix up it, or where you feel like, oh, I'm not doing a good job, is because you don't know, what do I do now that I'm in the space? Or it looks like everything is okay and there's nothing left for me to do. Mom's happy, baby is happy. What can I do to be of service other than hold the baby while mom takes a shower? For me, those to-dos are just what you said, the swaddling. I'm going to teach you guys how to swaddle the baby, and then I'm going to swaddle them, and I'll hold on to them while you take your shower or rest or whatever it is that you may need. I also, and this has become my thing now, is I teach them how to clip baby's nails. And I will also clip the baby's nails for them for the first time, because mom is breastfeeding and she's like, oh, their nails are like talons. They're scratching me. They're scratching their face. What can I do? They don't like the mittens. All right, did you get a nail clipper? I see a lot of moms getting this new rotary clipper. Let me just tell you guys, if you have postpartum clients or birth clients and they're like, I don't know what I need, get that clip. Let them have that clipper. What it is it's just a emery board on rotate, and it shaves down the nails. There's no clipping, there's no metal involved, and it's really quick and easy to do. And some babies even like it. So I've become the doula that is doing the little rotary on baby's nails when I get there, so that they're not scratching everybody. So it's those 2 things. I also like to do diapers. I'm going to teach you how to change a diaper, because though it sounds like an easy task, nobody wants to say, oh, I don't know how to change a diaper, and they might not say that to you. So I'm going to take the baby, especially the boys. I'm going to show you how to change their diaper, how to make sure you're not getting the umbilical cord stuck in there. And if the boys have been circumcised, I'll show you how to properly clean and care for them while putting on that diaper, so you're not too afraid to harm them or that you're going to hurt them. And making sure that their little wee-wee is pointing down. I have moms who are like, I put the diaper on and they keep peeing out of the diaper. I'm like, you're not pointing the wee-wee in the right direction. So we show them how to do that and how to not get peed on. And how to not get peed on is we take a wipe and we drop it right there. While we're changing the butt, we put the wipe there to catch anything that may happen so you don't have to get peed on, and then have it be a quick change. Also going over first bath. I often get questions on that, so we'll do that. And like you said, Maria, the pump, because some moms don't know the proper way. You know, you think just put it on, but they don't know the proper way to do pumping. So if they are pumping, definitely watching them for a session and helping them to adjust is a great way to just help them ease into that postpartum period. And then milk storage. So I like to go over the proper ways to store the milk as well, so everybody in the household knows, and that they're feeding baby, you know, good milk and nothing is going bad or misused. And of course, do these things as education. You're not like, oh, I'm going to show you this because you're doing it wrong. It's just, this is the general function of things. Let's go through these different bullet points. And it's just really helpful, whether they know it or not, to go over it with them again. That establishes that confidence in them, that they're like, okay, I've been doing this right. I can do this. And so they do it. Also, tummy rubs for baby, and tickling the legs, because we know baby will probably have some probably some issues.
I'm gonna add to that I have this little thing equipped that I bought from this great lactation site, and it fits, it tells you the measurement of the phalanges for the mamas. Some of them don't have it. So I teach, you know, so I go with that from day one to see if they have the proper size, because sometimes there is struggle with the breastfeeding pump, because with the breastfeeding phalanges, because they don't fit. And even how to put it on is, you know, you turn it around to fit it in the, so we go through how to put it on correctly so it can really connect to the breast, to where, how it's supposed to look. Because sometimes there is struggle because they don't know how to place they're not the right size, and they don't know how to place it. And sometimes the mom, the first couple of days, have a big breast, engorged breast, and then they go down just normal when they start breastfeeding, you know, well. So they need to readjust the phalanges for the pumping. Another thing that I really stress on, and it was because of a very personal reason. I was the postpartum doula for a couple that the daddy was blind. And I never knew that it was going to be like how to hand the baby to daddy. The daddy is not looking at the baby. The daddy needs to feel the baby. So that experience gave me so much into teaching mama and daddy to pass the baby. How you pass the baby. There's a technique where you pass through the butt. So, you know, so there, I teach them the technique of passing the baby, and what holds, not only for lactation, but for soothing the baby. What are the good holds for the baby? Sometimes, you know, almost all the holds that the baby has, the belly to your chest or the belly to the arm, all those are tummy time already. You're already introducing tummy time to babies. And sometimes one are better than the other to relieve gas, to help the baby be comfortable. The koala hold for the mama, the koala hold for the dad. So I show them different holds, not only for breastfeeding, but for holding the baby, to give baby that, you know, that soft, that soothing comfort. Because sometimes just the hold itself makes the baby really, you know, for burping the baby. Sometimes you see these daddies that they're almost punching the baby. It's not necessary, you know, just gentle presses. Like you said, the bicycling, you know, sometimes the pooping, sometimes you just turn the baby around, have the baby on the belly, and press the two little ends of their spine, right where the butt begins. Just by pressing there, you have a poop. You know, so teaching mamas that sometimes it's just so simple as just the body posture of the baby, the way you hold the baby, sometimes the way the baby is swayed. We don't like to rock the baby, more so sway the baby. The daddy has a different sway than the mama. The mama has, so then, and they know the difference between the sway of a daddy. That when you sit like on a bouncing ball, and you do this little, that's the one the daddy should use, and the mommy should use the swaying, and they will figure out who is who. So all these little things that you learn through the experience of yourself having a baby, or other families that you have treated, you share with others, you share with those mamas, because those are just tools. And some of them do it a couple of days and they don't do it again, but they learned it. And sometimes they don't even know it, and they come up with it, then it just comes intuitively, it just comes to their, oh, if I sit baby this way, it's better, so just be yourself with them, meet them where they are, see what their challenges are, let them talk, validate what they are afraid of. Like if they say, oh, I can't do this, don't say, well, no, just, oh, I understand. I can only imagine how difficult it is for you. But most new moms feel the same way. How about if we do it this way? How about if we change this posture, and you validate their feelings and give them a little tweak into, something that they can do differently. But that's great. Yeah, what you're saying also, Chey. Really good.
Gentle direction, that's super important. So thank you, Maria, for even saying that, of just, giving them little tweaks, because we don't want our clients to feel that we are criticizing them, that we are telling them they can't do that, because that, whether it's a big deal to us or not, those little things are the things that are going to play in mom's mind later on. And that's kind of, we don't want them to be fearful of parenting. Understand that you have an intuition, that you have a natural way of parenting. And there are some things that will feel unnatural that probably are. They aren't the way that you should do things. So understand that and know, let's tweak it. So being able to step in to their space, be respectful, and say, hey, co-sleeping is one of them. Now, I'm the holistic doula, y'all. So I promote co-sleeping. However, there are parameters. So if I know my client is co-sleeping, I'm not going to just go, yay, good, I'm glad you're co-sleeping, because there's studies that show that co-sleeping is beneficial. I'm going to say, oh, that's interesting. Can I see your space? How do you co-sleep? What does your bedroom look like? Now, if I know that dad smokes, if I know that baby was underweight, if I see their room has a lot of clutter in it, if I see their bed is against a wall, I'm going to say, while I support co-sleeping, like I'm for the co-sleeping, I am just going to say that if you're going to co-sleep with baby, maybe you should take the mattress down onto the floor, or dad can't smoke. It's a greater risk if dad is smoking for SIDS for the baby. So I am going to bring these points up, but of course, gently. We don't have to be yes men because we are doulas, and we don't have to be sticklers for the rules because we're doulas. We are the in-between. You want to be able to be even killed, to give that knowledge, and understand that this doesn't make the person less than, because how don't you know when you change a baby's diaper, you have to wipe from front to back if it's a girl? We're not coming with that mindset. We're coming with, let me gently guide you to the goal that you want to achieve. I don't think there's any parent out there that's like, oh yeah, I'm just going to do whatever. Who cares what happens to the baby? Or I'm purposely trying to harm my baby. No, and if that's the case, then that has to be addressed by a professional, but that is not the mindset they're coming with. And it's just often they may not know. So being able to give that gentle direction is key. Make sure you know what you're looking for. Be educated yourself. So if there's something you see, or they ask you a question and you don't know the answer, be honest. Say, I'm not too sure about that, but I can research that. Or I'm going to, call my doula sisters and ask. Important, even as a postpartum doula, to have a backup doula and to have a circle of your own that you can touch back with and say, hey, my client did this or said this. Have you ever experienced this? Have you seen this before? What was the resolution? How did you guys get past this? We don't have all the answers, but we are a resource, and we need to act as such and be able to tap into the other resource to give what's needed so that we can have our parents, confidently and not out of fear. So that being said, I am going to move to the next question. And it's, I have two questions. The first one is, how many postpartum clients do you typically see in a week? And do you have any special tips for either scheduling or just in general dealing with the postpartum clients when you have multiple?
Well, in postpartum, we have two times of the day that sometimes parents need you, new mamas need you. Usually they really don't know when they come home what they need most. So there's daytime postpartum care and there's overnight postpartum care. Sometimes I like to tell my mamas when they hire me to try both and see how it works for them. So we kind of we try to we tweak our contract dates so that they can experience the both services. First time moms, the babies usually sleep more in the day. They have longer hours of sleep brackets, and in the night because they don't know night from day, and their usually wake up time is in the night, and the mom is exhausted in the night. And even if the mom is breastfeeding and has to get up and breastfeed, the baby sometimes does not soothe, unless he or she is with the mama. So I offer them both so they can experience what happens in those two scenarios. Usually daytime, there's more services with the home, giving the mom time for rest and restoration, maybe cooking a great meal, time to sit, more teaching time, education time with daddy. If they have other kids, it's more interactive. In the night is a little more mama, doula, and baby. And they learn from both times. So it's really depending on the need of the mama. Some new moms have their mothers that come and stay in the nights, and they just need a daytime doula because they want to receive more education on childcare. And then the nights is their moms help them out. So it depends on the client. Now, because of COVID, I am usually trying to take at least 2 clients per month only, because some of them start with very short periods of days that they hire you, and then they extend it because they really notice the benefit of having a doula at home. So, usually the first contract, usually almost all the time, is extended because once they are home, they are met with all these challenging times that they did not expect. And they usually extend it. So I try not to take more than 2. And when it's overnight postpartum care, it is very stressful on the doula because your clock changes. So what I try to do with the overnights is I try to do maybe 2 days back to back, then I rest 1 day, and then I do another 2 days back to back, or sometimes 1 day, every other day. And that's for the overnight. When it's daytime, it can be every day consecutive, if it's because it's almost like going to work and you've slept, you've rested. But overnight doula is a little bit challenging because you really don't sleep. You sleep with one eye open. Even if baby sleeps a couple of hours, you're really trying to get to know the baby's cues. You don't want the baby to, if it's the baby's breastfeeding, you want to catch the baby when the baby is just starting to show needs for breastfeeding, which is, rooting the mouth or hands in the mouth, because a first-time mom is still trying to learn how to get baby to latch. And if you let the baby go to a point where he's desperate or she's desperate, it's going to be very difficult for the latching. So you're usually kind of eyed open. Sometimes I take that time to tidy up the house, to do some laundry, and I read, I take a few naps, but you're basically, like on call. And it's just, so those are the 2 settings for the doula, for the postpartum doula care. And it depends on the mom's need. I was going to say, add to what you just said before, that you can have one family that you can take all the tools that you have underneath your sleeves, and they appreciate all the tools, from massages, head massages, foot massages, to cooking, to just talking. And you're going to meet another family that don't want anything, don't want to be touched, don't want to be cradled, don't want nothing. Maybe the husband doesn't even talk a lot, even if he participates. Maybe the wife is the one that's quiet and the husband is more interactive. So don't be scared and think that don't take it personal. One of the rules that you can't take nothing personal, because every family has a different story, a different need, different situations and background issues, different family issues, different upbringing, different cultures. So what one might need, the other one doesn't really need. And you might be cooking something and the wife comes and says, I'd rather eat my mom's meal. Don't take it personal, or I have a second time mom that just hired me again. I was their postpartum doula, and both of them had a lot of back pain. And because I am a yoga teacher, we did a lot of stretching, just stretching, very basic restorative poses for just, calming their body, restoring their body. And that was the first thing they put in the Bloom Baby site. I need Maria. I loved the way she helped us learn about our newborn. And I loved her massages and her yoga practice. So that's why I'm back there, and because they were new time moms and they want me to be again for the second. So it's a little bit about how you're going to serve that particular family with its particular lifestyle, culture, and, and then going back to the last question, more than 2 I can't take in a month, because I want to be self-care for myself, be the best version of me to be able to serve them. And I like to serve them for a long period. And they usually hire you for a short period, and then they extend it because they see the benefit of having a postpartum doula at home. I can't hear you.
Nope. Thank you. So perfect. So now I'm going to switch gears a little bit and give more from the business side, because of course, as doulas, we're birth workers. We lead with our heart. We lead with our minds in educating our clients, but we do still have to be very business minded in the way that we approach things. And I went to school for business. Business management is number one for me always. So that being said, in the postpartum period, even before you guys get there, one, you want to meet with your client. You want to understand what they are saying they want, because it can change, of course, in the postpartum. They're like, oh, I planned for this kind of birth, but I had this kind of birth, so now my postpartum care looks different. That's fine. But you want to make sure that you have met with your client prior to that, that they understand. So if I am just doing, for me personally, I only do daytime postpartum because I'm not good at staying up at night. And I'm not going to put myself in that situation. So I will say to them, I do daytime. Now, if you want overnight, you always have the choice to choose another doula, or you can have me do daytime and another doula do nighttime. But making sure that communication is key, and establishing a contract is number one when you are taking on a postpartum client. So you want to meet with them even in the prenatal while they're still pregnant and before they're your official client and need your services, so they understand who you are and they say like, yes, I like this person, this seems to be what I want for my my labor. You create your contract. Now you should already have a template. If you guys don't have a template, I mean, you can always ask me for one because I have, but you can go on Google as well and find, depending on who you've not contracted with, who you've certified through, they may have a postpartum contract. And if you are with an agency, for example, like I said, Maria and I are with Bloom Baby. So we work with them and they're a business and we're independent contractors. They give us a contract for what the postpartum service is to look like. And then I have my own personal for my personal clients. So you may have multiple postpartum contracts, but you want to make sure that you have one and that it's priced accordingly, because I also find that doulas sometimes they're like, oh yeah, it's going to be easy, I'm just going to hold the baby for a few hours in the evening and so I can price it at this, it shouldn't be a big deal. But then you're not taking into consideration the self-care that Maria said. After that night, you're probably going to need a massage, some acupuncture. You want to factor that in. Where are you traveling to? You want to factor in if it's gas for travel. and things of that nature. So price accordingly. Make sure that you price it for what it's worth. I'm a big believer in not lowballing yourself, especially if you're trying to be a full-time doula. It's hard out here to be a full-time doula and not have a cushion of money, finances to fall back on. So you want to put your price on things and be able to stick by your price and be confident in your pricing and make sure that your service matches your price. So you want to do that. Give them the contract. Once signed, you guys are locked in and you follow things according to your contract. That's a big deal. If things are to change, make sure it's in writing and that you have all of that information there, and that communication is key, because in the postpartum period, things are going to be up and down. So the client may have been very super sweet and nice in the prenatal stages, and now in postpartum, she's not as nice. She is easily agitated and it's not as wonderful as you thought it would be. And that's okay, but your service can't change because her mood has changed. You still have to be a professional. So that's super important to have that in there and have your contracting put together. All right, make sure you cover all the important points and you put in if you have any limitations on services. Important points being, in what cases, can I cancel? Or if I can't make it, does your client get a refund if you can't make it? If you can't make it, do you have a backup who's going to come? Make sure that all points are established in there so that nothing is open to interpretation and you don't feel burnt out, because you can feel burnt out if you are, you had a contract in mind, things aren't going the way you plan for them to go, and you're like, oh man, I just don't want to do this. This was a lot on me. This was stressful. This is where the contract kind of keeps things even by following your guidelines and being professional. So I'm gonna throw that in there, and I don't know if you want to add anything to that, Maria, and then after that we'll open for questions if anybody has questions.
Just remember that now we're going through the COVID situation, so you have to protect yourself as well as they want to be protected. So if any, they have to be honest about anything that's happening in the home, as you will be also honest if you have any situation that can be contagious. So that's something that you should add in your contract. And the backup doula, like Chey said, is very necessary, because sometimes you might miss because you get sick, and then you need, or with postpartum, there's a little bit more flexibility, because if you miss one day, you can always do the other day. And that you make it a point when you start talking and creating a relationship with this family, like, you can always be flexible in the week. And you say from the start, let's be flexible. Because it's good for them too. They might, some parents don't like it to be there on the weekends because their house is flooded with family in the weekends, because it's the usual time for families to visit. So usually you don't work in the weekends, and or maybe somebody wants you on a Sunday. So always be honest, like Chey says, about your availability. Give them a little bit of space. Require space for yourself too, so you can refresh and restore. And it's going to be easier on them, easier for you. It might extend the time. Let's say if they just hire you for 10 or 12 days, make those 10 or 12 days last, so that they can really spread it out, maybe notice more of their needs, or be every day they're going to meet different challenges that they didn't even know. So when you spread it out, it's even better for them. So the first thing is honesty, communication with the family. They know they can trust you. Integrity, they know they can trust you because you're speaking with honesty and with a plan that's doable.
Thank you. So that being said, thank you ladies for joining. I am now opening the floor for any questions you have, whether regarding postpartum or just douling in general. We're here. Feel free to raise your hand, actually. So I don't want, if anybody goes off of mute and then everybody's trying to talk at the same time, if there's any questions. If not, that's fine as well.
It's fine. We're always here. You can bring up the questions after. Sometimes you might not even have a question today, but tomorrow you have a client. Oh, I should have asked this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And we learn with the practice. Definitely. I always say that when you go to work with a client, just be the friend. If you're a mama already, you know that you needed a friend there, that in a particular day of your new beginnings. So be that friend that you wanted to have when you were a newborn mama. So when you go meet a family, don't go with all the answers. Just go with an open heart and just to listen, and then you will come up with the answers, because it is natural, it is organic, it's not new. It's just like, what would you like to be done to you, in that moment, if you were the one that just had a baby, and if you don't know anything to do, just sit down and listen. Just sit down and listen. Some of them have so many things already like done. They have so much stuff already organized, and then you're there just like, okay, how are we going to make this work, this bassinet and that other bassinet, and maybe we need a couple of little stations in the house so that you can have Pampers here, Pampers there, and Pampers there, and everything. Okay, Genesis has a question.
All right, so I'm reading her question out loud. Thank you so much for the information you both shared. You're welcome. Thank you for being here. Any tips on assisting C-section postpartum clients, specifically when you didn't work with them prenatally? Yes. One of the things that I am a big advocate for is being home for when that postpartum client comes home. I think that, you should always see moms soon after delivery, but for a postpartum mom, for a postpartum C-section mom, if you can meet her home the day that she leaves the hospital, that is key, or the next day. Reason being, this is a new body, and this is a sore body even more so, and her healing is going to take a longer time. So once she's home in her space and she's maneuvering and being new in her space, it can cause a lot of strain. So for C-section moms, we don't want them straining. We want them to be as comfortable as possible. So we want to be home in the first few days to assist them. And that looks like helping them with the breastfeeding holds, lowering the bassinets or the cribs so that they can get to baby carefully and without hurting themselves, and making sure that they have something warming and nourishing close by. We don't want moms going up and down the steps. We want to set up a little cart for them or something so that things are at their fingertips, and they don't have to, overdo. And of course, the education piece of letting the village, the people that they're home with, know we want her taking it easy. Even if she feels good, I tell all my C-section moms, if you feel good today, still don't move. Give yourself another week before you move.
Stay in bed those 30 days. That's yes. La cuarentena. Those 30 days are days of gold for the mama too. Yes. That's going to secure her 40 years of life afterwards. All the organs in a newborn mama's body are all scattered in the belly. The belly is empty. Everything is swaddling. The uterus is jumping up and down. Everything is really off balance. The hormones are going everywhere. Mama is not really fit, maybe mentally, but not physically, to start doing any work. With C-section, like you said, Chey, I teach them how to come in and out of the bed. I help the husband, teach the husband how to help the wife if I'm not there, because there's a way to come in and out of the bed. I even have gone to the point of bathing the mom in bed. I help her to bathe, to clean her privates and, her body if she is unable to get up. If she's, if it's too painful. I try to encourage her to go to the bathroom, because movement is also important, because if not, her body becomes, the fear makes her body tight, and the C-sections, I try to encourage that. But if they want to be bathed, I have done it many times, and I teach them how to, clean themselves with care. And I look at the incision if I can, if she talks about it hurting or anything, and then helping her with a whole bunch of pillows and everything that she has so that she can be as comfortable as possible for the breastfeeding, because that can be that can be detrimental. Pain can be detrimental to her placing her body in a comfortable enough posture to breastfeed. and it can be really bad for her, you know. So it's trying to get her as comfortable as possible. I like to use a lot of pillow under the knees for mamas with C-section, because that supports the hip a lot. There's less weight on the hip. So I like to encourage 2 pillows or a rolled pillow under the knees and get her a little bit higher. And yeah, and you know, her body comfortable, because if not, she's going to stress through the shoulders, stress through the hands. There's a lot of carpal tunnel happening to newborn moms because they're not holding their babies correctly, and they're straining areas of their bodies, specifically hands and shoulders, upper back, mid back. When they're not comfortable, that pain starts building up, and usually is bad posture, habitual bad posture. So getting them into the correct posture, but with a C-section sometimes is challenging. So making sure that she's as comfortable as possible.
I'm also going to add in there, Maria, because as you spoke about them going to the bathroom. So in a C-section, they give medications that bind the mom so that she doesn't use the bathroom. They don't want anything passing, you know, through when they're in there cutting and removing things and putting them back. So they often are constipated even a few days after. And what I like to give them is, of course, warming things. We want nice warm tea, even warm water. That helps to just bring everything down, but also chia seeds. If you do chia water, this is something that promotes gentle movement of the bowels, and it doesn't affect the baby. So that's a nice natural way to get her to use the bathroom, because that can be a lot of the discomfort too. If you have a C-section, you know, you have a wound on top of a full bladder, it can be very uncomfortable. And so we want to ease that comfort as much as possible. So that is one of the ways. And just remind her that you're going to feel good some days. With the C-section, you heal from the outside in, right? So the outside may look good and feel good, and you're like, oh, I'm healing well, but it could be one movement too far to the left or right that could get the tissues to kind of disconnect again in the healing process. So just reminding her to be gentle with herself and being there so you can remind her to be gentle with herself is super important. Any other questions? And if you guys don't have questions, I ask that you add your social medias into our chat box so we can stay in contact. I'm going to put mine and Maria's in there. So if you guys want to be part of any future classes, if you have any additional questions for either one of us, you would know where to find us. So thank you, ladies, and feel free to ask questions while I type. If not, I'm going to say good evening while I type my name in there. So I know Sayla Doula Services. I like the name, and I think I follow you. All right, Docs the Doula, She Doulas. I think I've seen you as well. Perfect. And Maria, please type yours in there as well. I don't remember all of it. I know it's like Yogi Doula Maria.
Yogi Doula.
Okay.
Maria. Wait, Maria.
Also feel free to send me if you guys have any. If you guys want any future classes addressing certain topics, let me know. Like I said, being a doula means that we have lots of resources. So I know people in all fields, and I do plan to have many more discussions in the future, just so we can stay strong and be even better at our jobs and provide, especially for our Black and Brown moms. And if you follow me, you know how strongly I feel about that. So.
Yeah. We need to become our own village.
Mm-hmm.
We need to be a village amongst us, because we need support. Sometimes we go through very difficult moments as doulas, as support for other mamas. Sometimes we feel awkward. Sometimes we feel this syndrome, like imposter syndrome. Sometimes we feel that we have failed, when if you ask the mama, you've been perfect. So we need to keep each other, you know,
uplifted.
uplifted
Mhm.
because, you know, we are out there giving our heart and soul, and we're human beings, and, you know, so this is very good for us. And then the
Yes.
more we learn, the more we are able, and more, you know, to give out more information and education.
Yeah.
And we learn every day, and sometimes the parents are the ones teaching us
Yeah.
more than us.
That's hard. I mean, we are the teachers, but we are more so the students too, because each labor, each mom, each experience gives us a new lesson. And the day that you stop learning as a doula is probably the day that you should probably stop being a doula, because we are ever learning and ever growing. Genesis, please go ahead and ask your question. I'm not going to tell you no.
Thank you.
Yes. All right. As a new doula, I find it hard to set those boundaries in the beginning, where people often see postpartum doulas as a nanny. Any advice? Yes. I'll add my piece, and then I'll, of course, pass it over to Maria. So one, your contract. Your contract is your agreement and your understanding. You understand that this is the service I am providing. And in my contract, I even go as far as to say that as a doula, I will not, and it will consist of things. It says, I will not clean out your fridge. I will not clean, move heavy things. I have a list of things that I will not do, but I also have a list of things that I will do. And as long as it's in my scope of practice, I have no problem. I will do a small load of laundry because, of course, you need clothes, you're healing, you can't get up. I don't mind doing that. I will tidy your kitchen when I'm in that space. I don't mind. One of the things that I definitely say I will not is I will not watch other children. Now, I love children. I love everybody's babies, but I do not feel comfortable. We're territorial over our children. I don't feel comfortable watching your child while watching your additional children while you're not in the space, or while somebody's not home. It's just me and you're in your room and you're telling me to watch the kids. I'm not going to do that. You're going to have to find somebody to do that. And I think that that is maybe the number one thing. I say I will prepare light meals so they know what to expect from me. And we'll talk about it even in our consultation in a very nice way. I will say, I'm here to do this, that, and the other. And they say, oh, what about meals? Are you going to cook meals for me? I'll bring one or two, and I don't mind making a soup or heating something up, but I'm not going to make you, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. But I will check in, and I want to make sure that you're eating and that there's things in the fridge for you to eat. I don't mind ordering Instacart, sitting there with you and unpacking the groceries, but there are limitations to what I will do. And I know it's hard to set those boundaries, but as you go through this, you will find that it's super important, because of course they're going to take advantage, and not because they are trying to milk you for all you have, but because they don't know your limitation. Often they don't know what a postpartum doula does, and they're just going to say, oh, can you do this? Can I have that service? That won't be a question, because we're going to list it and you're going to know the things that I can't do.
Yeah, I would like to add to that I don't drive the new mama nowhere. I don't drive. I can drive myself. I can drive my grandparents and my family, but I don't drive them, because if something happens, it's my responsibility. I don't take up for what the husband should be doing, driving the wife to the hospital or to the pediatrician or to their appointments. I can, let's say, sometimes I call them before because I noticed that they didn't have tea or they didn't have milk. I can call them, do you want me to pick up some milk or tea on my way? But that's not like I'm not gonna go shopping for them every day. It's like one day I noticed that we didn't have tea and I didn't take tea or whatever. So I asked them, do you think you need that? I've had moms that have lost the parts for the lactation pump, and without a little part, I would go to Target and I'll buy it, or to whatever, or to a, punctual things that I know that can be very, nerve-wracking if we don't have. And also with the children, with the other siblings, I don't take them to school. I don't pick them up from school. And that's in the contract. And I do not cook for the husband because she can't cook for the husband. I cook for her. I am her postpartum doula. And the meals are cooked to feed her. the soups, the porridges, the juices, the whatever, the teas, the galactolog things to help her to produce, I do for her. Now I make enough that the husband could eat as well. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yep, I definitely bring food in the space. I don't mind making a few things, but I'm not, feeding your household. The children are gonna have to get something. But I also think that a key element in there is the education portion. So now if you're in the space and there you go, oh, I'm really hungry and my husband likes, chicken. All right, well, here's a few things he can make with that chicken in the fridge that will be good for you and him and baby. And things of that nature. The key is in education. I don't mind you asking me these things. I will give you the information, but I'm not going to sit there physically doing all of these things for you. I'm but one person, and this is where your village comes into play. So I'm going to educate so your village knows and they can provide this for you as well.
Yes.
Yep. There's nothing wrong with setting boundaries. We want to set your boundaries and stick to them. You don't have to feel guilty about that.
Yeah, and the way you communicate, this is not a fighting. You communicate nicely with education, and communication is basic for that.
Yeah.
So when you talk beforehand, nothing is a surprise then.
Exactly. Yep. Good notes, Maria. Good. If you guys have any other questions, feel free. I'll wait for 1 minute and see. But I do thank everybody for joining. I hope that this was informational. I hope it was inspirational. If you had any doubts to your abilities as a postpartum doula, let me say, I believe in you and you got this and you are going to do great. Even if you didn't sit here with us, I know that you will be great just because you have the knowledge that this is what you want to do. Just equip yourself with the right resources and you set forth and do your doula thing.
Yeah. You go with your heart on your hands. That's all you need to do. And that's, some people just need somebody to be there.
Yeah.
And, and sometimes you don't do much. You just be there.
Yeah.
And that's so important because there's so much isolation out there, ladies.
Yes.
There's so many lonely ladies because of this new situation or just because they became new mamas.
Mm-hmm.
They're not, the first couple of days, they're on the news, everything is happy, and then everybody goes back to their work and their job and their lives and their regular, routine, and you're left behind. And there are going to be days when you're going to need to cry and you need to call a friend. So, we are that friend. We are that resource for them to, what can I do for this? Then you have all this information you can give them. You need a support group. You need this, lactation support, anything. I mean, there's so many things out there that you can provide to them that it's just by talking and by being there.
Yep. Your presence is everything. Your presence is a present. That is a gift to be able to have you there as a resource. So don't sell yourself short and go forth, my doula sisters. Go and do your doula thing. But thank you everybody for joining. No problem. You have a great night. Enjoy your weekend.
Thank you. Goodbye. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks,